All right, we're happy to have Mike Krupit join us today. Mike, you are a successful CEO in your own right, but now you've started Trajectify, which focuses on CEO coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now at Trajectify?
Sure, thanks for asking. We're glad to be able to share some of my experiences. As a CEO coach, what I like to do is turn founders into CEOs. So I take early stage businesses, typically $1 million to several million, and help the team and the business and its strategy evolve to $10 million, $20 million, where you have that moment when you start a business that you're not sure if you're going to ever get to the next level, and then one day you wake up and it's, oh my gosh, I'm there.
Yeah.
I've got to run the company. And it's at those moments that I'm able to come in and now create the CEO and then help the organization mature to the point where it is now a growth stage business.
And you're one of those people that actually has had several very critical roles at high growth and even publicly traded companies. So tell us a little bit about some of your experiences as former executive and CEO of other former companies.
I will say that despite some formal training and certification, really everything I learned was in the trenches. 25 years, 8 startups, doing what it is that I now help other entrepreneurs accomplish. So early in my career, the focus was on technology and product, and ultimately product market fit, and then eventually the business. So in my career, I went from CTO to COO to CEO. One of the things I discovered along that path was that leadership is a transferable skill, which surprised me because I was assumed I would be a great tech leader because I was a great engineer, but I didn't know how well that would transfer, that leadership would transfer to operations and ultimately to the entire business. And the second half of my career was really at the executive levels where what I was doing was purely about leading organizations, not necessarily, the product guy or the finance guy or the marketing guy.
Yeah, and that transformation, I think oftentimes founders forget that, right? They forget that leadership has its own set of challenges and own set of goals that it requires different level of energy and different level of attention than just coming in as a founder and running an operation where you're wearing multiple hats.
So yeah, at a very early stage business, when you're first starting out, until your first million, you're wearing almost every hat in the company.
Right.
You're the chef, the bottle wash, the cook. The fact is, though, that a company won't scale if you aren't able to grow your own leadership abilities. And so delegation is one of the first things that entrepreneurs typically struggle with as they're building their company. We can get over that hurdle of being able to identify and find and trust the right people. The second thing is, and this is something that I learned sort of halfway through my career, is you got to get good at knowing people. As an engineer, that wasn't intuitive to me. So I had to learn about the people part of the business, which is not something that's easy to learn, because it requires, what we call today, let's say, empathy or emotional intelligence or vulnerability, right? There's a lot of different ways of organizational development, organizational psychology that gets studied. But it's ultimately getting good at people. Right? If you can master being good at leading people, the rest of the business, the rest of the growth of the business is the easy part.
Right. About 3 years ago, I was invited to go to Columbia's inaugural tech summit, right? And they were falling behind because NYU had a lot of advantages. But anyway, Lee Bollinger, then the chairman, came out and said, look, we're going to teach entrepreneurship. And at that point, being an entrepreneur, I was like, well, that's a good point. Can entrepreneurship really be taught at an academic level by academians, or even folks that have done a lot of entrepreneurship in their past? Can it be taught to people, or is it something that you have some innate sort of qualities of as a human being? What are your thoughts on that?
I am not a believer of